Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
No borders. We can't track people anymore. No banking system because we'll meet most of our needs. No restriction on governments to be abusive against their citizens. You don't like to live in this map condition, you move to another within seconds. No persecution, because in putting you in prison to persecute you, you can move your body from the cell. There's a lot of things with it. One planet, one nation, one race. You choose the place and space you want to live, where and what time and where to be. There is no need for visas and all the things we create. We are better, you coming to us. Why the nations have created this visa business and passport business and restriction? Because we've stolen from you for long enough, now we want to keep it. You can't have it. That's all it is. And the rest has to follow, because if you want to go with the thieves, they asked us to make you something, we give you a passport. Look at the whole visa situation and passport situation in reality in the back. There is no abuse. You'll be in Rome, Paris, in Tehran, or in Africa, or whatever, because they can't abuse you, because you can move on. Would there be refugees? Ends all these things. All these things will become in the history book of them. Very soon. Very, very soon. The biggest problem will be the officials who think they can lose control. So this gas enhancement units which we put in the market now, you buy it, we try to make it them what they call car conversion of it, put it in the back of your car. Nobody can tell you how much you can drive. You don't have to have a fear if you have the money to drive the car. If you're paying €50 a week for the fuel, which most of the people do to go to work or shop or whatever, that's $2,500 you don't pay anymore. That's half of it taxes to the government, which you don't pay, which you have to cover. But the other half does not go to Saudi Arabia. We see the richest monarch, the most abusing nation of their own nationals. As I said to the people we were in this morning, you signed a contract for hundreds of billions to get the supply, and now you don't need. What are you going to do with that 400 billion? It will come to our governments, these things very soon. We need to be governed by one word. And sooner or later, we set the scene, we imply and apply the scene that it goes to the Universal Council. You will see in a matter of handful of years, Universal Council will be one of the leading positions even within the United Nations. In a structure, one nation, one planet, one race is I'm a citizen of the planet Earth. That's all it is. Then which part of it you come from? I come from the green part called Europe. I come from the desert part called Africa, the north part of it. I come from the forest side is called Brazil. We don't call ourselves, I'm a Brazilian, I'm Chinese or whatever. They don't know you. They just see a feature of the soul of the man created on planet Earth. As I explained to you, one of the knowledge is when you travel the depths of the universe, the soul of those who come from Earth is very distinct. They know this soul comes from Earth. It's like you Chinese going into Paris and trying to speak French or English. They're still Chinese. Because we see that feature, soul of the man in space has a feature which is the feature of the strength of the souls from this planet. The good thing with Keshe Foundation is that we are not theoretical, we're delivering, and knowledge, science, technology, politics all comes together. We're proud you're born in this time and place that you can see this transition. My great-grandmother used to say, I've seen how your great-grandfather used to go with camels from Afghanistan to Palestine and come back once a year. I've seen how we went to the cars and the bus and the planes and whatever it is. In my little eye, I've seen big changes. And with your little eyes and your soul, from now on, you see bigger changes in a very short time than our parents or forefathers seen in centuries. Because you're doing it for yourself, and it's not somebody else to do it. That you don't need to learn how to become a pilot or have a car to drive or go to the airport to take a flight. All that now, you're responsible, you're captain of your soul. And you decide, I put my soul into abuse.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 627th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 29th, 2026. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammon, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of ongoing workshops. And once again, we have the honor of having Mr. Mehran Keshe as our presenter, and he'll be presenting the knowledge of the earth and the knowledge of the universe here as well. So let's begin and see where today's teaching takes us. Please go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation and Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and as usual, we share knowledge, some useful to us today and some useful in the future, and some setting up what we call grounds for the future works of humanity and maybe for knowledge. As we are on our course in understanding more about the connection between us on the energy side, not on the physical side, to the universe, and how we live a double life. When we dream, we call it as a dream, where it's actually connection to the dimensions of the universal energies, and one where we carry our physical body, and our whole life at this moment of time is concerned about this. That's all we care about, how to feed it, how to take it around, and what it can do for us. Where we have, by law of physics, if you use a stronger one, we can do much things much easier. In the past few weeks, we concentrated on the understanding of the line of connection of hydrogen to the universal lines, and our reaction and confirmation of our existence through our carbon-14. As I explained last week, the connection to universal energy, which feeds us, majority of it, is through dimension of hydrogen, or what it is, the lowest level and as it comes in condition of. The interaction and reflection of this field with the plasma of the body of the man, which is connected to it in dimension of the same, creates on the energy side, with the soul of the man, interaction of the carbon-14 with the atmospheric condition in the magnetic field condition, not the air and weather, but the fields of this planet, and in interaction with the inertia of the planet, leads to manifestation of physical dimension of the man, which means when the rays of the essence of the creation interacts with the soul of the man in the condition of the womb of the mother, and in interaction with the condition of atmospheric condition of this planet, magnetic field, and the inertia, and the condition of inertia of this solar system, leads to manifestation of the man with two hands and two legs and the rest of it, the way is suited man to be able to exist. If you understand the position of transmutation and you understand this, it brings you two things forward. How can I, from this dimension of the man, transfer myself to be a plant? Transmute myself to be a plant. Transmute myself to be a stone. Transmute myself to be a structure in this solar system. As we all know, the temperature on Earth varies according to how far you are from the surface, according to interaction of the inertia and magnetic field of the planet. The atmosphere out of the Earth environment is constant. There is no temperature. We have no summers and winters in the spaces between the Earth and the Sun and the rest of the solar system, and universe and the galaxies and the rest of it. So we understand in transmutation for man, for a lot of you, and that is part of the teachings that we are concentrating on, and especially in tomorrow's session, we open a new door in that aspects for the knowledge seekers who are coming into the trial to be able to understand this, that how can I, as a person in a physical dimension, can transfer my energy field, what you call the soul of the man, to manifest itself in a dimension of a stone, in a dimension of a plant, another animal, even as my lover. How can I do this to understand? Last week we spoke about isotopes, which means in the physical side of the life we have isotopes. Isotopes of iron, isotopes of copper. In the dimension of the universal field energy, we speak about the magnetic field. Then we speak about the effect of the magnetical and gravitational upon each other, which at the boundary dictates the physical manifestation of the man, and then in interaction with its environment gives us the shape, the color, and the rest of it, which is preset in interaction with mind. It's just like you go to a shop and you ask for a burger. It does not matter if you are taking that burger in London, in New York, in Washington, in Beijing, in Tehran, or anywhere else. Burger looks the same, more or less tastes the same, and is the same, because it's preset. Does not matter what else you want to add to it locally. This is what we call genetic fingerprint. Human race fingerprint is the same, is preset, because this is what I agreed. I want my child to look Chinese because I'm Chinese, my wife is Chinese, and then if it becomes black, we question mark, has she been playing around, or has the ancestors of us comes from somewhere from Africa? In the structure of the soul of the man, you have preset. Atmospheric condition of the man's life in the atmosphere of this planet, this solar system, this galaxy is all preset. Man only looks at the DNA of the physical man today. When the man starts looking at the RNA of the man in a universal field level, there another Pandora box of science will open. Which means what DNA do we carry in the space outside the dimension of this galaxy and this universe. It changes because it still keeps the same fingerprint, but the soul has to use a different isotope of the fields to be able to manifest, make itself visible, living, or whatever in that position. This brings us back to a knowledge which we have spoken tentatively before. Maybe we can start digging into it deeper. As we said, you look at the structure of the man on the line of the communication, connection, diversion, interaction, and everything else. We have a hydrogen, which is part of our amino acid. Now we understand it's not just there as an energy source, but it's the connection to the soul of the creator. That's why amino acid of you carries the hydrogen. And this strength of hydrogen is unique to this planet, because the atmosphere of the earth battles a different way when it gets here. So now you understand your hydrogen and your amino acid is a connection to your soul of your creator. Now you wanted to know how. and it's within everything which exists in this universe. Then it comes how you're receiving, how you connect back to. Where are you? You're on planet Earth. The atmospheric condition of this planet dictates carbon-12, or structure of the energy of the carbon-12. Now, you want to travel the dimension of the universe. The dimension of the universe dictates communication in this universe at about carbon-14. But when you go to another dimension, you go to carbon-16. And then if you understood what we say in the world of physics of today, which one of the reasons original papers ever published by Keshe Foundation in early 2000, we showed scientists in the institute in Belgium confirmed the condition of the creation of graphene, which then they said you used to use a nuclear material and you're a terrorist. And now we understand how graphene is created without radiation, is the dimension of the energy conformation of the matter in respect to its environment, which confirms in a way carbon-14. And if you go back into the science of the dictating the life on this planet, they say carbon-14 fingerprint to show the age. When did the energy transferred into the carbon that it became the energy of it, and now we do carbon testing. But there is another dimension which the man has to extend his knowledge to understand, to do the carbon-16, carbon-18, carbon-24, which is the ultimate carbon which makes the graphene of the universe, which means it holds everything in it within the magnetic field energy and no matter. Once you as knowledge and the scientists understand the graphene of the universe, or the unicos at carbon-14, which is directly connected to every single cell of the body of the man, then you understand how this onion opens up. Carbon-12, matter state of the man on this planet. Carbon-14, energy state of man. Carbon-16 interacts with our condition of the what we call galaxy, and carbon-18 to our universe. Carbon-24 gets the catch of the shape, dimension, and the condition of the unicos. And then, if man can extend his knowledge to understand carbon-14 or carbon-24 or any other combination of carbons is the link to the source of the containment, then man can decide where, in which container he wants to manifest itself. Do not forget about the condition of the waves. If the interaction of the fields of the carbon itself creates, or the waves of the carbon-14. And in that process, what frequency is created? These are the frequencies the man has not even got the tools to observe, to detect. Because when the carbon-14s interact, when the carbon-14s travel within the atmosphere of carbon-24, they are in soup, where the condition of the carbon-14 is like this skull of the man containing it. In a way, containment of the unicos comes from carbon-24, and the interaction, anything below it, as it steps down to the universes, to the what we call galaxies, to the physical matter, and the rest of it comes through the interaction, actually comes from the size of the electron and what we call the proton single cell structure, which dictates this condition. Hydrogen in the energy state and hydrogen in a matter state are two different things. Even though we still have hydrogen in another universe, it's not the same hydrogen as a man on this planet in respect to the space gap between the electron and the proton. This is how universes, according to the field structure interaction of themselves, will dictate the condition of the life and every planet, every star, every galaxy, every universe, and in the universe. Therefore, if you want to convert yourself from a man to a plant, you have to understand the conversion between the carbon-14 distance between carbon-24 and understand the full structure of the carbon-12 in the structure physicality of the man, connected to the hydrogen. The wave is created out of the strength of and the condition of. If one's man understands the basics conversion in gravitational magnetic fields in the dimension of the control through the emotion, then man can transfer itself to stone and still have emotion. Because you sit there, but the emotion is active. Because you became a stone to see how a stone feels. You became a dog to see how the dog feels. You became another man in the dimension of your physical condition in traveling from one place to another with the same emotion. And then you, in condition of the environment, decide through your emotion what you want to feel, what you want to be, and what you want to transfer to in transmutation. In the session tomorrow, for the first time, we bring the spectrum of fields into operation. Those of you who participate in tomorrow's session will be open to unknown technology to man. We have set it up in our systems. And in the session tomorrow, many of you will receive transmission. But it's you who have to decide on transmutation. Which means we open a dimension of the fields of transmutation to man through the emotion of the man. Unknown technology, but developed, and it will be tested for the first time tomorrow. It's you who learns the flight system. It's you who decides in what shape you want to fly. You want to fly to become a dog, you want to fly to become another passenger in dimension of universe, to become a plant. You decide to transfer in the emotion of the dimension to be a happy person. You do not need to leave the dimension of the physicality, but you are allowed, you are shown, you are given the possibility to choose on your own accord in the dimension of, in a way we give you a helping hand. You will start walking, and through it, you will decide in one dimension and one you be. Many of you will be enlightened to a new knowledge during this session. Do not ignore it, as you will come to understand it becomes part of you as this part of the knowledge is opened up to you. Enlightenment through the dimension of the transfer of what we call energies, which opens, brings the soul to another level of what we call understanding. This process, once we complete it, will be added in the future to the nano systems, which means we can change the emotion. We give the facility that every man can travel the span of the universe according to the what we call the emotion of time, space, and place and time, and what we call dimension. What this means? It means we open a channel through the spectrum of the fields in the dimension of the matter state of the brain of the man, for man to be able to have a better access to decide the transmutation. Makes it easier for you to transmute, but you understand the logic of it. And this is the cornerstone of the transmutation and understanding the work of the universe. In what level you decide to change the carbon-14 within the dimension of the emotion dictates in what level, in where you shall be. As we saw, many people, when they came to the systems, they became fishes, they met the Christ and everything else. Because according to the field strength we allowed through the matter state during the session in the system. In the session tomorrow, we move away from the matter system condition into the field condition, which is unknown technology to humanity. What this means? It means in the structure of the light today, you see red, green, blue, as if you looked at the ganses, especially in the book where I shown the bottle with the ganses with different colors. Be open, and I've spoken about colors that the man have not seen. When you see a color, there is a purpose to it. Now we open the colors of the universe into the dimension of transmutation through the transfer of the technology tomorrow, which means man's dimension of the soul will have access to a new field dimension of the universal cosmic ray spectrum of the light. Our soul works with this, but our skull stops this. And now for the first time, we allow this barrier, which is the skull of the man, which limits the transmutation, to be opened up, to be we get access to, becomes more strengthened. In a way, we are all in a football stadium, but the light is not on for us to see the match. When they put a little light, we see something of the ground. And then when they put the floodlights on, we see the whole football ground. Now we open that light for the first time using cosmic ray magnetic field spectrum of transmutation, which means the skull of the man cannot stop the process of the transmutation, as in some cases has become process, which in a way gives a dimension to the emotional side of the what we call the soul of the man. Allows the emotional side of the soul and the physicality to match, because the physicality emotion is contained by the skull, is to say its size and the shape of it. Now it allows to match. And this point, it comes back to the teaching of a few months ago when we explained you have to balance the transmutation emotion and the physical emotion together, that you can move. Transmutation motion is that emotion of the soul. The emotion of the soul, when it matches, has room for the expansion of the emotion of physicality to interact. This makes it easy for you to transmute. And this process will be tested from tomorrow in the next 3-month session. And this will bring a new dimension in understanding of the new science and technology of the man. What does this mean? It means man now, gradually, through the transfer by us flooding the environment of this planet, through the O&O systems and other systems, we open the floodlights of the energy of the universe on this planet. And in a way, what was missing in the structure of the planetary system, which has created a man with anger and war, into a man of universe with peace. This is the purpose of it. We are not here to take you into a space, just voila, you can go. It's for us to change what was missing. This is the first time ever this has been tested across the universe. And with the pleasure, we test it tomorrow for the first time, which means we can, with this process, bring the soul of all the living creatures and created in the universe all to balance, that they all receive that dimension of the communication directly, that they can decide in dimension of the soul. This has a lot of advantages in the future, which man does not understand in this moment of time to be explained. If you understand this process, that we release the dimension of the field spectrums of the what we call universal energy, which through the dimension of this skull, the atmosphere of this planet, the atmosphere of this solar system gradually is faded, is become watered down to the level that can be of the universal and the unicos. Man will be enlightened to new knowledges and technologies, where physical technologies have nothing to match. You will soon understand, Mr. Intelligent Guy wants to put 50,000 satellites into the orbit. With this technology, we have 9 billion satellites of the soul of the man on this planet and beyond. Which means man does not need satellites, man does not need the systems which is obsolete by the present knowledge which is in the hand of the man, but man has ignored to do it. We see this process very much deeper. In the second part of this teaching, I'll explain something to you, an amazing teaching, that we have received information and we have shared and we have requested the Iranian government to confirm and explain why. How advanced the man is in the dimension of the space technology, and man should be with that in the position of the what we call the spaceship, be able to create that condition of the carbon 24 in a much easier way once the knowledge expands to that. One should understand that the transmutation needs understanding of the fields of the universe and control of the emotion of the man. If you cannot control the emotion, you cannot transmute, because you have to understand there is a barrier between the emotion of the soul and the emotion of the physicality, which rings the bell. Danger, I cannot carry. We have to do it together, otherwise I fail and the whole thing fails. You build a beautiful rocket, you build a beautiful fuel structure, but you have a problem in electronic control. And this is where the man will fail. This is why we introduce the new dimension, the new structure of the universal cosmic ray spectrum of lights, that we allow the soul of the man in the dimension of physicality, in the soul of what we call emotion of the man in the dimension of physicality, to merge together, to become one, that there is no failure. And you will find out that many of your knowledge seekers will become transmitters in a very, very easy way. And at the same time, it'll bring an end to many of the problems which man has in the dimension of physicality and physical life. I hope, as knowledge seekers, you understood the teaching. And I hope you understand what is opened up to man from today on. We are not here to be benefited by it. We are here to change the humanity benefits from the knowledge of the universe. Understand the process. And as we add the organs into the system in the coming weeks and months, and we increase the numbers, gradually your souls become part of this structure. Because you become in the soup of the creation of the carbon 24. And this is the dimension which man has never known. You see your auras in the dimension of the reflection of what your soul interacts with your physicality, that it manifests itself in the outside fields. Now you can see the aura of the soul of the man in interaction with the fields of the universe. I made man in the image of myself, but myself has many images. It depends how I interact and who I interact with. We go for a break, we come back. As if you understood, the teaching of today is extremely heavy. If you understand it, listen to it, try to look at it in the dimension of the energy and not matter state, and you will unravel the secrets of the creation as usual in a much deeper way. Rick, take us for a break and we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right, well, we'll have a break here. And for the break, I've got a video from an excerpt from the last Knowledge Seekers workshop. And it's on the products, the new products that are coming available at the Keshe Foundation to do with Valentine's Day and Easter and other such occasions. So let me get that set up here. And it'll be about 5 or 6 minutes. And then after the video, and Mr. Keshe will be commenting on products and whatnot at that point, we will have an opportunity to ask questions. And I'll remind our attendees here in the Zoom program that you can put up your virtual hand and then we can acknowledge it to open your microphone. And you would be able to ask a question that way. Otherwise, questions can also be posted in the chat or preferably in the Q&A in the Zoom and also in the chat in YouTube. All right, be back in a few minutes. Let's see that now. Let me get
Yes, these are cosmic ray, what we call materials, which we have launched as packages before in different what we call occasions, and now we are releasing these on a what we call continuous basis. These are all what we call resin product for different occasions which is coming up. They'll be priced in the next day or so, hopefully, and then you should be able to purchase it directly. We do not do the what we call the packages as we used to do, like a Christmas and a New Year packages. These are individual pieces, and if you go through all of them, and then you can see what it is. And it's per occasion. You can what you call order per piece, then as we did it in 500 and 250 and 1,000 packages. This way, every individual person can choose. They are made of different mixture of what we call cosmic ray and gases. And it's a new, what we call a structure, which goes with this one. I'm sure in next day or so, very soon, you will see a launch of a new pen, what we call the paint pen, on the same structure. It's not plastic anymore. You actually hold the whole direct contact with the material. The new, what we call cosmic ray paint pens are a solid state. What it means in the present paint pens, you have a plastic container which still filters energy between the body and what is to be taken out. Now you actually hold directly the two energies. You create a closed circle. And these are the new extensions of the energy systems which we have put out. And you will see it. It's been sent to you, but has not been what we call put out or priced out, but it's part of the new product range which the Keshe Foundation lives there. You don't need necessarily to buy it for Easter because it's a rabbit. These you can buy it as a decoration and put it in the house for transfer of energies. And they all have confirmation, because we had a lot of problem with people transferring like cosmic, what we call ray materials. But now as a resin is inside, is within. For example, in the past we had a problem with paint pens in some countries because of the liquid inside it or whatever, could not be done. Now is a resin. Anybody around the world can buy the paint pens, and this is part of the structure of bringing in peace, bringing in what we call happiness into the house, change of the energies. You just put it as per item. And this allows us to be able to transfer a lot of it. You have a child which is sick, we are developing technologies to be able, as a toy, to bring that change. Children don't like to take medicine. We'll be coming the same way. In the coming months, as part of the Keshe Foundation reorganization, we will receive documentation and materials worldwide licensed for the first time for the viruses, which means we'll handle through a structure how to overcome the viruses in a way it does not exist in the world of medicine. And this will become part of our structure of the work. And you will see massive amount of pictures and items which will be continuously be added to, and we try to keep it in a way workable for all of us in so many ways of understanding how things work. You can use it for Valentine, and you can make it for Easter, but at the end, at its final point, is how we enjoy connection and understanding of the use of the energy field. In the next couple of days, we already made this offer to some of the retailers. If those are in the retail side of the Keshe Foundation, have access to charities or whatever, that they can give the resins freely in the hand of the what we call people who need it. The Keshe Foundation has set up a structure to support that. And all the what we call our gel packs, as of this week you will see, will be reduced to 10 and 20 euro per pack, depending on the size. And we have a large number of the pillows which we went through to restructuring of the Keshe Foundation, changing the pillows to $29.99 for some, for the small ones, and to $40.49 for the larger one, that we can move a lot of things out of the way, that we can accommodate the new changes and the new product range which is coming into the structure of the Keshe Foundation. So in the next few days, look for what we call the Keshe Foundation pages and see what you want from it and what suits you. And everything will be priced down to come in through. There's a lot of other more products which is already being produced and will be added to this range. And it's mainly to change, because we understood a lot of people have problems even in partnerships, that they want to change the environment of the house, but the partner is allergic to this and that. These are decorative items, they will do the same. You have a child which is disturbed, this does the same. Put it around the bedroom. We've done this in different ways, in different trials, where we just leave the bottle of gases and people don't like to see this. This is a decorative, but does the same thing. The size, the shapes brings the dimension of the change, and then it's for you to see how things done. In what we call a structured way, we introduce new materials, and as I said, we are looking for what we call resellers of the products of Keshe Foundation worldwide. It has to be a continuous, not just buying order for me to buy and just for what I want. This is a new product range, our manufacturing site for distributing, and new product range will come, which part of it will be high advanced technologies.
Okay, that's our excerpt from the last Knowledge Seekers workshop. And now we can listen to the same person talking live in real time with Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. I think you've seen these items already priced, and they're on the website of the Keshe Foundation. What we call the products have been packaged in 5 and 10 for the gel packs, and the items of the resin has been left freely. The important thing about this, what you see on the screen, the new pen pain. These are made of resin and they carry a much more powerful interaction than before, because now there is no plastic covering the interaction between the person holding it and the position, so distribution of the energy. These paint pens, the new generation of it will come out maybe in next few months, where they internally will be connected to the system of the obesus, which means when you have a condition, you use these pen pens instead of the what we call your mobile phone connecting directly to the system preset, and will carry the universal transmission units inside them, which means for a specific conditions, in a way, when you buy the apps, these are the connection with the apps. We are a few months away from this, but the system will be embedded inside this. For any condition, the pen as a relief of pain is supplied for under license and certification, will be connected to the central, what we call energy system of the Keshe Foundation across the world, which means diabetic and cancer, anything will be done, diagnosis of the doctors. Once these systems are certified, and you just keep it at home, and then you change for another condition. You have a broken bone you want to heal faster, you just use the pen, you ask, you join the app will transmit changes to your pen, and voila, it's done. There's a lot of these things coming up, but we are setting the structure in the background. There's a huge amount of work is going in the background in the Keshe Foundation to create a new dimension and condition. And as we said, this is part of it. The ONN system will support this. And we gradually break up in 2026 the technology of the Keshe Foundation worldwide in a very large scale, massive way, which we are now working on, the team of the Keshe Foundation, the knowledge seekers and non-knowledge seekers who work with the foundation to expand this technology beyond. There is one point which is not available at the moment. We just tell you about it, that it will be set up by, it's already set up, going through its tests this week. And that is the Keshe Foundation has set up a new page for itself, with the difference that this time the Keshe Foundation as an association, it needs to be registered. Once we give you the link to the Keshe Foundation Association, you register yourself to become a member of the Keshe Foundation. You have to log in, you have to sign in, and you become a member. By law, we have to have a membership which is put at €1. You can pay anything you like. It will be set up through PayPal, which means everything has to be correct. If you want to make donations for specific projects, again, you go through the same system, donation for this purpose, and the rest of it. We are giving another structure to this structure of the Keshe Foundation in this way. Keshe Foundation Holland stays the principal owner of the whole Keshe Foundation work. But a further development for this for us is that once we introduce the one card nation through the ONN, then you all registered through it. It's part of the work which will come in later on, step by step, and will bring a lot of freedom to us to operate internationally. For those of you who are with us tomorrow, you need to bring with you, if you have already received your emails, must be with you. You need 2 headsets, as was before, 2 for the way they're structured on the sides and one front and the back. And then we take control, we take charge. And the session tomorrow is very, very heavy, extensively what we call set up to test cosmic rays and what we call a spectrum of the radiation. fields, which is part of the work of the soul of the man. And it works very heavily on what we call the spectrum of the fields. We decide what to do, how to do it, and you will feel the change and you will understand the change. And then we change everything else to another dimension in the following month. Just be aware that you have to understand that in the work of the Keshe Foundation, at this moment of time, we are there to develop the technology in uh, in the spectrum of the bringing world peace, universal one language, universal government. And so bits and bits of it is coming together. If there are any questions, we try to answer, and we try to see how we can share more knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Again, I remind our attendees that you can raise your virtual hand if you'd like to ask a question. We have no hands up at this point, and we do have lots of questions in the Q&A here, so let's begin. Let me see. Well, let's start at the top with Antonio. He says, Mr. Keshe, with the problem of the Iranian currency by the manipulation of the United States, my question is, would Iran change their currency to Keshe coin, or maybe yuan or another currency that is stable?
At the moment, within the next 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we are waiting for a lot of things to happen in Iran. We got to understand a lot of you were waiting, or a lot of us were waiting for an attack by the Americans and the Israelis and the European community, which have put 170 fighter aircrafts in Amman to attack Iran as a one-way of 500 planes at the same time, that they can overload the system of Iran, and they change the government. We are all fully aware of this news. The whole thing didn't happen, and again last week didn't happen. There was a very, very good reason. We saw the American planes in the north of Iran through what we call Azerbaijan. We saw Americans taking flights into the aerospace of Iran to change the government, but it did not happen. It had two reasons. We saw before. Iran overnight has changed its satellite communication, what we call GPO or GPS, into the Chinese version, and disconnected the American GPS over Iran territory. American fighter planes cannot reach when they don't know where they're going. More or less, we're going back to the Second World War, putting a beam, travel for 20 minutes and drop your bomb. Does not work anymore. And this has delayed the position of the war. They are just trying to put a face on it. Secondly, in that position, Iran has achieved a 3-layer defense. Chinese, the Q system, the Russian 400 system, plus indigenous system. Something very strange happened in the past few weeks in Iran, which people didn't understand, but a warning was given to what we call the world of defense and technology in a very subtle system, that in a program on the Iranian national television on the 15th of October of this year, Iranian government released exactly how they're going to handle this if it comes, and what they might do. This goes back. We have released this. This document is video. We can release the link. You can listen to it if you know Iranian. It comes in a very simple way. On the national television, in a 2.5-hour interview, the member of the parliament of Iran gave the warnings to the Americans in a very direct and straightforward way, that how it will be handled and how the world of the science and technology of today has not access to it. Most of you as knowledge seekers know, and this, if Iran decides, I have to switch over to another system, otherwise you get a lot of noise, background noise. Just let me see how I can do it.
Recording in progress.
We cannot do this anymore. One second. Can you get me on this line, Rick? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clearly.
Really? Okay. I share with you something which might shock some of you. This is what the American forces have to face with. The gentleman is a leading member of the parliament in Iran and announces that Iran has access in the technology to such a technology. And if you remember, we released such a picture some years ago. And in the interview, he says this technology was brought by scientists from outside Iran to Iran as a gift, and Iranian scientists have developed it. This, the link, I can send you, or you can, if you understand Farsi, to see it, explains details of the Iranian politics and how Iran will defend itself in this war. There's no match to it. And we see if they use it, because they have put it out in open as a technology on national television in the past few weeks. Is the regime change will bring any change in the currency? Is the regime change will bring any benefit? We've seen hundreds of thousands of people being killed and damaged, primarily by the weapons imported by the outsiders to make the damage maximum, what we call it, inflicting maximum damage, that they can start a revolution, but did not happen. This is the second time. We saw it in the 12-day war. They hit the places for people to go on the street. People stood much firmer with the government. This time they imported weapons into Iran and killed many. 90% of the people killed is killed by the people who are from outside. And the latest information coming out is that the people were paid ridiculous amounts, like $50 for stabbing someone, $70 if they killed someone, and they found somebody which has collected $900,000 by killing so many, and whatever he has evidence of it. And then they blame the regime for killing. So we have to see how far this goes. We have a very advanced technology. For the first time, Iran has put it in public. And this is the Keshe Foundation technology, and a member of the parliament announces it in the interview. You got to understand, when I entered Iran in June of 2008 to develop this technology with Iran, I signed an agreement, took 3 days to negotiate with Ahmadinejad and Ayatollah Khamenei, and that this technology will not be used as for any other purpose but the space and defense of Iran. And up to Iran today, Iran has kept this technology that way. And when it comes to the defense of Iran, and that agreement was signed finally by the parliament of Iran, which means the Keshe Foundation has agreement with the Iranian parliament with this technology. And as I said, the last 2 digits of this agreement is 13. In the future, you open up the documents of the parliament, you see in July of 2008, we signed such agreement. Transfer of technology, and now a member of parliament which signed the nation to agreement with the Keshe Foundation announces the possession of this technology and been brought out by scientists from outside Iran and Iranian and developed. We are looking at a lot of fake news in the news, and we see a lot of hype because Mr. Netanyahu has decided what he wants to do. He has moved into Greece. He is not even in Israel. The cabinet of Israel has moved into Greece, in an island. They're hiding there. Their position is well known. They have put their weapons in Cyprus. They brought the agreement between the Israel, Cyprus, and what we call Greece, that if they one attack, the other one attacks, and the Greece is part of the NATO, it brings EU in. So for that excuse, they brought 170 planes into Jordan. But we have to see what happens and who does what. Would there be a regime change? And how much more they will kill. You have to understand, a lot of killing in the past few weeks is done by the Israelis in Iraq. They were, the first time they failed, this time they brought weapons and they paid people. In the way you kill a child, you get $50. It's 500,000, 2 months or whatever. And this is the ridiculous position. And outside they don't tell you what's happening, but inside it's monitored. And they have to make the Iranian regime the bad guys. But in fact, all the killing, as I always said before, is done by the outside and not the inside. Even chemical weapons have been brought in by the supporters of the Netanyahu to say Iran uses chemical, and then I said they use a chemical because it's all what you do yourself, you do it. This is the way they have done before, and this is the way it goes on. Hundreds of thousands of people are injured and killed directly by non-Iranians. And you got to understand, in defense they do. In defense they will defend the nation. But will it bring the change? Is there a need for a change of currency? We have to wait and see who plays what. China is involved extremely heavily in this. Russia is involved extremely heavily in this. And we expect the war to break out, or the Americans putting a pressure will come out with negotiation. We've seen we got a guy at the leadership of one of the most powerful nations on earth playing missing Mickey Mouse game with people's lives. And we have to see and wait and see. We keep a very close eye on what is happening, but this is the part which affects us as knowledge seekers and Keshe Foundation. And if you don't read the Farsi, it says the showing of the weapons, of hidden weapons, secret weapons, which is in the hand of the Iran, which is UFO and plasma technology. And the name of the gentleman is member of the parliament is underneath of it. This is on the Iranian television on the 15th of October this year. Now you understand what has come to be science, which everybody blocks and nobody wants to have. Now it has shown its face on the structure of a government. It's for the peaceful application, it's for the space application. And even though the Iranian scientists have achieved such a technology, further development comes with a much more advanced technology of this, which brings the science to be relevant, and technology will be much more deep. As I said early last week and middle of the week before, Americans trying to fly planes into Iran to bomb, but their GPS got everywhere. The planes didn't know where they are. They had to get them back as much as they could before they fall out, running out of fuel. And the international observers watched American planes all over Iran. They couldn't find their target because their GPS lost. And Iran has brought a system which cannot be jammed. This is what happened with the Chinese. Chinese learned very early on that the what we call GPS, once it's blocked to a nation, you cannot, when they develop their own system, indigenous system, now is used by Iran, by Russia, and some other countries, which means the Americans cannot block it and do whatever they like. They did in Yugoslavia, and they did in Iraq, and the rest of it. And as we saw, Iran blocked the internet to kill the location. And this time is not the same as last time. Tel Aviv is like a playing game on the floor with the new Russian, what we call Chinese system, GPS system. And Iran is blind to them, but all the targets are open to Iranian military forces because they can see them on a different platform on the Chinese radar location. So we have to see. And we have to see what happens, who does, if the Iranians don't get off guard again and lose many, or we see more what we call intelligence tells us of the Israeli and American agents in Iran killing more to create mayhem. They did this time, they didn't succeed. They did last time, they didn't succeed. And now we have to see what will be the outcome. Is there a need for a change of currency? Or we keep the nation as the most advanced scientific nation on this planet at this moment in time to do with the space. And we see it on the Iranian national television. From where the Keshe Foundation signed the agreement of the space technology with the Iranian parliament, with the nation, and the leading member of the parliament announces it what Iran has as a surprise in the complex to come if they decide to use it. Any other question?
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the Iranian situation? Jay had said, for example, Trump warns Iran that time is running out for the nuclear deal as the U.S. military builds up in the Gulf. And he feels sorry for the American soldiers on their way out there on board all the ships, with Donald Trump sits with his feet up living in luxury.
If you understand the picture on the screen, nuclear technology for Iran is obsolete. This is why we keep on saying we don't need a nuclear weapon. Nuclear technology is part of the development for the space and understanding a deeper working of the space. But when you have such a technology, which you see on the screen, which is announced by the Iranian parliament member, who needs nuclear? This is why we are not prepared to negotiate. And negotiation with America is one-sided. We tell you whatever we want and you have to say yes. And a superpower like Iran does not need to accept such obedience, but we have to see how much it breaks from inside. These kind of revolutions, these kind of change of regime only takes place when there are spies inside the system. If the government is strong, understands, we saw it in Venezuela, they say they took over Venezuela, but the same government as the vice president has become a president. Nothing changed. Americans talking a lot, but they have gotten hold of nothing because all the minerals is signed for 50 years to China. Main oil fields, which is profitable, is signed to China and Russia. So there are some fields in the middle of Venezuela, they can, if they can get them, cost billions and trillions. We've seen a lot of fake jobs with this guy. And if the new impeachment comes in, he'll be the first president, will be impeached and replaced by the Senate. What comes up, we see. But should not be, this is part of the religious war, where the Israelis are dictating, the West and the Rothschilds are dictating the condition for them to access the gold mine. You got to understand, if you are aware of what's going on in the background, they have to force war. And this has all come through a lot of mistakes by the Americans. JP Morgan has pre-sold billions of ounces of silver, which cannot deliver. They've been warned, given 45 days from early this month to come up at least with 6 million ounces that it can bring some of the books into balance. There is no such a supply. JP Morgan is about to go bankrupt. We see this with the banks in Europe. So if a war starts, it's inevitable that it will create mayhem. Oil will go to $200 in US and around the world. And what will happen is that we'll see huge problem coming up. There's a deep understanding of the situation with silver, because silver is needed for all the technical advanced technologies and is limited. And as most of you know, JP Morgan has been penalty to once for 500, 600 million, and a couple of years ago for 3.5 billion for what we call insider trading in silver, which means the traders inside were buying for themselves and selling to keep the price fake. And now, in moving into the dimension of reality, the banks don't have it. They were making money on a fake internally for themselves. And now the delivery, because there's a shortage, people are asking for their options to be paid or delivered, and they don't have it. And central, what we call federal bank, has to move in and take over JP Morgan at sometime by end of February or March if they cannot come up with these millions of ounces of silver. So there is a huge possibility of the collapse of the American economy. You got to understand, if the Gulf War takes place, dollar oil will go to around about 200. Canada is cutting off the gas supplies to the United States. So we see huge problems boiling up, and this president is trying to divert attention. Iran is one of the best ways he can do, because he's bypassed the Senate. We could see a war, and just for the man to be there, but we have to wait and see next few days. Many, tens of thousands of Americans will lose their lives, for sure. As much as the Iranians and others. And most probably, as I said, the state of Israel will come on such a heavy attack, especially with Cyprus, which they moved their military to, and then they moved to Greece. We'll see innocent people, civilians will be killed. But Israelis have killed over 100,000 Iranians in the past 2 weeks by importing weapons and chemicals to start a revolution, but have not managed to do so yet. We have to wait and see. We stay impartial, we are observers, but as we said, now who we sign a contract with, which is the Iranian parliament, a member of parliament announces the technology which is in the hand of Iran. And he says, the secret weapon, which is only in the hand of Iran. Let's see if they can use it peacefully. And don't forget, if this goes, and if they can hold on the GPS off the territory of Iran, no planes can come in, or they come in 500, they all drop like a flies. And then there is only option left, which is intercontinental missiles, which they're going to use. That's why they brought the submarines in the Straits of Hormuz. Some nuclear warheads, because then they say we hit the nuclear power station, but actually they bring the warhead. There is something which, as you know, as a nuclear physicist, we know very clearly, we can find a fingerprint of the nuclear material. If it's Iranian nuclear material, after the explosion they create, fingerprint shows the materials from Iran or is from the American or the Israelis. This is something you public don't know. But as nuclear scientists observers, we'll ask for the data coding of the nuclear weapon used on Iran. And if it's nuclear weapon used from outside on Iran, then Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Trump have to stand the Den Haag. It's very clear. Every gold can be traced back to its origin. Every atom of the nuclear material can be traced back to its origin. If it's indigenous and they say we hit the nuclear center, and we can prove it is, that's what they can claim. But if they use a nuclear warhead because they cannot penetrate the Iranian defense, then world leaders stand criminal. Mr. Netanyahu will be in The Hague, will be made sure of. The same with Mr. Trump, using nuclear weapon on the nation. Now, another secret sitting, waiting to bring their hands in. Any other question?
Okay, thank you for that detailed explanation. We have a question, well, actually, a series of questions from Paulo, as he is wont to do. And he starts out, Great Professor Keshe. And let me just read through the questions and you'll see how it all kind of fits together. It goes, would the energy that goes to the soul of man at death be the energy jump of each hydrogen transforming into C14? Could I say that each C14 would have 6 plus 8 hydrogen because carbon has 6 protons and 8 neutrons, while hydrogen has only 1 proton? Could I thus discover the energy jump of each hydrogen transforming into C14 to reach the 30 Hiroshima bombs in accidental death? Is this reasoning, if this reasoning is correct, I ask, how many hydrogens would we have to convert if we have 400 trillion particles in each cell in the human body and 60 trillion cells in the body? Would each of these particles be a hydrogen flux, since it is the fundamental plasma that generates each particles? Thus, would I discover how many electron volts each cell would return to the soul of man? If correct, is it enough to multiply to arrive at the energy of 30 bombs?
There's a lot of other calculations in. The thing is, we know from the research by many, many scientists that the hours of death, we see a massive surge in gamma ray radiation within the structure of the cells of the body, which means the body is aware and transmitting a lot of energy, which passes the matter state of the cells, brain cells, which means the body delivers the energy at the gamma ray level directly to the soul. It's not electronic, it's not electrical. And then plus the cosmic ray fields. This we know scientifically. It's been measured, it's been assessed. And the gamma ray level at the time of death, in the regions of the death, few hours before and after, is on the gamma ray. So a high level energy from each cell, what can be transferred at the lower level of the soul, is transmitted to soul by the physical body through gamma rays at the gamma ray level and higher. And this is part of, if you understand the usable energy at the transmutation. How we calculate that energy is done approximately, they say about 18 Hiroshima bomb, which is now is like, you got Big Mac was the currency. We could see how much it worth around the world. Now we measure the energy of the soul of the man with a bomb which killed so many men. And so what we do not have a full data, and it's not at the proton and electron levels, because in that spectrum you have some conversion, because that's what we see. We see some alpha radiation, we see some beta radiation, we see gamma radiation, and we see cosmic radiation. Scientists have not studied the transfer of energy as a cosmic ray to the soul. we have measured, we have seen increase in gamma ray. So the body transfers energy which can be absorbed by the soul that cannot be stopped by the physical structure of the brain or the physicality of the man. And due to his proximity and body of the man being in a Ganser state, but the soul absorbs its energies in the gamma ray level. So our knowledge is not complete on this side, because the cosmic ray level is not measured. We do not know how much of it is transferred, and each cell has huge amount of cosmic ray energy in it. So it's very easy to understand why gamma ray is used, because as I said, the body is in a vacuum condition, and we have tested it in the laboratory test, alpha ray and beta ray and the gamma ray with 11.5 centimeter diameter or radius is operational to receive the energy to centralize it. If you look at the very original Keshe Foundation reactors, which were developed in Belgium, they're all around about 23 centimeters diameter. We built it that way because we can transfer energy of the hydrogen or a plasma into the center within a vacuum by 11%. You cannot do it in a physical body. In a physical body, because of the matter state, if you atmospheric condition, you cannot transfer more than a few millimeters of radiation. If you remember, we used radiation from the smoke detectors, which is an alpha source, but we managed to create the vacuum and the plasma field shield, which you see on the screen, creates lift and motion. And so gamma rays in the mass body of the man in a plasma condition of vacuum, you can transfer the energy of the cells to the soul. This we know for a fact scientifically by now. And the next step to it is how much cosmic ray is transferred and why the body releases this, because it's got it's like a black hole exploding. It finds nothing to contain it. And the size of the field, it once leaves the body of the man as energy, it gathers together again because it's got the central gravitational field force, brings it together, becomes one, then it finds a matching space where it is matched and finds its position in the universe. This technology we understand fully, and we actually shelved it because we could not understand much more of it. It was, at that time, we could not develop it any further because we understood more or less all of it. Any other question?
Hey, thank you for that. We have a hand up. Finally have a hand up here. Azar, please go ahead.
Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, I have a question regarding, if you remember, if I'm correct, you said the origin of the man started in Africa. So
one of them, and yes.
Okay, so we started in Africa, we moved to like Mesopotamia, and then we went to Europe, and then Asia, and then Africa. So, I mean, as a circle, we went back there. But then my question is, when you look at the past in Europe, there were a lot of, Hassan and I were talking about this, there were a lot of warmongering in Europe before the North America be discovered, like between themselves, like British and France, and then the Irish and all that, the knights and all the kings. And then when they discovered, European discovered North America, they brought that over there. But when you go back prior to that too, in area of Iran, Persia, under the Kurush, there's so many different bloodshed. And then that notion of, and then we talk about the warmongering is the defect in DNA because of the planet Earth or amino acid. But then my question is, I don't think human, I mean, the only conclusion I came with, because if you look at that area, there was any war, and then in one part there was so much warmongering, and then North America also became the same, became the leader of the warmongering, North America. Then the question comes, I think humans are not warmongering or like to have war or in that direction, but I think there must be some infiltration of other entities on this planet that interbreed with humans, and they created this warmongering among humanity. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What is your explanation on this?
You got to go back to understand the cycle of life on this planet. First of all, the dominant race, which we see now surviving and being part of the humanity, is what we see traces from Central Africa, Central Africa. The condition on Earth was favorable in other positions, and other races were developed the same as the one in Africa. It seems we see a race in South America. We see, if you listen to the history of the man, they tell you one race superimposed, or what you call it, overtook the other race when they came into conflict. Central Asia, Central Africa, Central America, part of Venezuela, New Zealand, sorry, has been the favorable land for life to start. The right combination of the chemicals, the right atmosphere. And then it goes back to the story of what we call the well fish. You have a water wells, you always find a fish in it. Where did it come from? Is the condition of the transfer, is it the same? There are two schools of thoughts which are running very deep in the background, and is not in what we call the science of today. Especially is getting a lot of attention in the past 3 to 5 years. And that is the cycle of life on this planet is not the cycle. There has been generation of lives on this planet 130 years ago, 130,000 years before, and they came to an end. The condition of the planet brought, it's not that there was something like a meteorite hit. The data gives us a repetition of the cycle of lives on this planet. And somebody has done a very interesting request from AI in the past few weeks, asking a simple question. The way the man is going, with the present knowledge, with the present technology, with the present AI and the robotic, when is the end of this cycle? Which means the man will not be here to exist, because what we call robots and the rest, you see them more positive than the destruction way of man. And the estimate is somewhere around mid-2045. AI says man will annihilate himself by 2045. Which means, be it a nuclear weapon, being malfunctioning, being whatever, all the data at the moment AI considers is 2045, which means we reach that point of poisoning of the atmosphere, psychological, electronics, and what we call mechanical system take over the life of the man and the rest. But we have a data that says 130,000 years ago, there was a full cycle of life better than us at this moment of time. They even understood the knowledge of the universe. There is another cycle which goes back over 500 million years ago, 500,000 years ago. We see scientific achievements in those days, even more advanced than us. They went on the energy side. They don't have much tools, but we see some part of it. Man has discovered these items, but never understood what they are. Now we advance in technology, we understand more. We got to understand in part of the what we call geological development of the man, and now we have items which we couldn't say, but they are 130,000 years old and are more advanced than us. We've seen more advanced technologies 11,000 years ago. And then they tell us, oh, our scientists have made a lot of mistakes in it. But how does not matter what we do, man, with the structure of this planet comes to kill, to destroy itself. And now we want to stop that. You have to change the atmosphere, you have to change this poison air magnetic field on this planet, which sees destruction as the only solution. And this is part of adding to it. What is missing in the soup is the last ingredient, which comes with the technology we're trying to deliver. And needs to be uprooted within, but you cannot uproot when you have the poison in the land. You have to change it. And the change comes through what we call what we see. Understanding of the higher level technology that can change the whole. That's why we put that one in. That's why we're testing even tomorrow with these dimensions of new what we call cosmic ray field energies, what we call a spectrum. And today's session is done in a very specific way. We have asked only one person to carry out a test for us, which we'll know after the session, which gives us a prelude to tomorrow's session, that how partially our system reacts. One of the knowledge seekers already is set up for this purpose. And then we see how we open the dimensions in other directions. And you have to change the poison within the atmosphere of this planet, which forces killing, need for energy, and need for recognition, need for hierarchy. And then we'll see how the next step takes.
Mr. Keshe, you said we move to other spaces in the universe, our DNA will change. Is because the DNA is a structure, so our structure changes, but our RNA or information carries the same, yes?
RNA is a physical dimension. We are touching the interaction between the RNA and the physical condition after which is the DNA. If the information is wrong, wherever you go, you produce that system. We are entering, interacting with the RNA to bring that change. You understand? There is a fault in the message. So that fault can be only changed in the software, not in the hardware. And this is what we're trying to do.
Because the DNA is a structure, but the RNA copies the information and put it someplace else.
So that's why we work with the cosmic rays. That's why we work with understanding of the process of the creation, and not with the mechanical system of the creation.
But shouldn't we think about if even one person's RNA and DNA changes, that could be transmitted to other human beings? Or
It
That's my
is, yeah, it is part of, we have seeded that in program today. As I told you, one of the knowledge, only one of you there, they know who they are. We've been asked to use a specific way, and we have set up specifically our system for that single person today. And we learn from it by the end of today, and then we assess how to handle the sessions tomorrow, and then the following sessions. And then we understand how to transmit these energies to make a peaceful man, to allow the soul to enter in the new dimensions of his own freedom. We have to teach it that many of you carry that knowledge, and it's not just done by one man. There's no time anymore. I brought the message with 10 stones or 20 stones, and that's what it says. We give the message. Is you who writes, how many books he writes, and how many stones you write on.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Okay. We have next question in the Q&A from Micah, who says, "Greetings, Mr. Keshe, Rick, and all knowledge seekers across the Unicos. I have a question from a friend as follows. What is your take on the heliocentric model of Earth, planet or plane of existence? And how does that tie into your teachings about the cosmos? I believe you have already spoken of this before, but if you don't mind answering again, please."
Can you go on Google and bring that word up and see what it explains to me, that we all understand what we are talking about?
Okay. Get that ready here. So we can all follow along. Let's see here. Take over sharing again. And there. Oops.
You see, Mr. Google.
Well, the quick answer is heliocentric by the dictionary is having or representing the sun as the center, as in the accepted astronomical model of the solar system. Let me see. Let me see. Let's look at the Wikipedia example here. It says heliocentrism is also known as the heliocentric model, is a superseded astronomical model in which at the center of the universe, the Earth and the planets orbit around the sun. It's superseded geocentrism. That's where the Earth is at the center. So,
but if you go further, we look at the creator center point, not the sun. Is the next step up. And when you go into that dimension, and as I said, with carbon 24, you'll find out that the energies count and not the physicalities.
Mhm.
Physical dimensions in the universe are scattered in different shape and what do you call it, dimensions, according to the field strength. But if you look at it, take it step into the dimension of the field of the creator, now we're talking about the hydrogen, this central to be the sun is irrelevant, center is the creator. Our sun still receives source from somewhere else, so it cannot be the center when it receives from somewhere.
Mm. It's interesting. We still say the sun rises and sets as if the Earth was still the center of the universe, and you know the sun's kind of rotating around the Earth. So
yeah, that's why they thought we tame it, but we actually. It's very interesting. When we were considering transportation beyond the solar system years ago, we had to consider the interplanetary forces, and then we had to consider the galaxial forces. To us, the sun is there, is fixed, and we all rotate around it and find our position. But the sun itself is conditioned to another central point inside the galaxy system, which means our sun actually is itself, as I explained in many teaching, is moving with 100,000, 10,000 kilometers an hour, and it vibrates. It's not steady. Our sun is not sitting there in the galaxy. According to the destruction of the solar system, according to the new life of another system, it has to move. It's a magnet. So what we considered as our sun to be there in that position of galaxy is not there. And our scientists don't want to understand this. So it's vibration to find new position by creation of new magnetical fields within the galaxy. It makes it to vibrate. It changes its position. So our sun, even it looks like fixed to us, but itself is moving. It's like that electron in the system with the highest speed is moving to find always its balance in the position it is. Even though it looks like fixed to a position, yes, it's locked to a position, but it's still like a spring vibrates to adjust it. Otherwise it explodes. Otherwise we all get thrown out of the solar system when it gets squeezed. So it adapts itself. And we see this in the shape of the structure of the boundaries of the solar system. We see this in the rapid increase in meteorites or movement of the meteorites away from the central point of the Earth. It's such a dynamic soup. You cannot say it's fixed, and then the only fixed position in the whole of the world of creation is the position of the Creator. He does not bend, he does not move, he's there and gives. You want to receive, you accommodate yourself within the fields of my love. Any other question?
okay, thank you for that. Micah has a question about the new resin products. Are they specifically made in a new way with the cosmic ray technology?
They're made for peace and balance. They're made primarily for peace and balance. When you have balance, you find peace. When you get peace, you need to strengthen it. And the combination is made in a way that there is some, what do you call it, the direct cubicle ones. I don't know if they've released that yet. It's like fish tanks. Those are extremely heavily done towards the peace. I don't know if you see it. It's like ducks and other things in it with a green base. And this is they're primarily done for the peace and balance. There are some made in the shape of a cross, and is to be given to some nuns and priests in the coming months. And they carry the energy of the balance and peace. And we are monitoring how the nuns and the priests react by holding these. It will be spread across the European churches. We want to see what peace it brings when they hold it. What will change? A number of this is getting distributed across the churches in Europe. Any other question?
Some links have come in to me from head office there on some of the new or some of the product deals that have come up. Let me just share briefly here. We have the gel pack you mentioned. 5 pieces, €75. Various units of that. There was the pain pen, as you've mentioned, and there's the price, €129.99. And we've got the memory foam contour pillow. €49.99. And let me see, a couple more items. The memory foam luxury car neck support cushion at €35. And 2 more items.
They're about 1/5 of the original prices and other bits. It's just that Keshe Foundation is getting restructured in all dimensions, and this is part of it. We do not announce anymore what we are doing, what the foundation is, or the structure of the foundation is doing, because of the preemptive strikes we saw by having the knowledge they've been around trying to do. And I was reading something very recently which will be surprise you. I explained that I'll return back to Belgium to write the last 6 books of the set when there is a change of regime, when there is no monarchy. There is a discussion if it is correct, if it's true, and what's going on. Holland, Belgium, and the third country, Luxembourg, is joining to become one nation, which means Belgium will be wiped out of the map. And they'll come with a new name, and just the monarchs have to decide how they will share this monarchy and how it's going to be. And there's a talk that nobody accepts any other places, but they all commonly accept Breda to be the new capital of the nation. If this takes shape, you will see the balance of the other books that will be published very soon. And at the moment is work within the structure, and the whole of the EU has supported this move, because there's a lot of problem with this country, with these nations, which is hidden and can bring problem for EU. Luxembourg, Belgium, and Holland are in negotiation to bring one country. It's called the Greater Benelux or something like that. and the monarchs have to decide. And it's the dispersal of their wealth, because some of them are wealthy or they run themselves like the American and the three states, but one central operation. And then we'll see more of it. You'll get the books coming out very quick. Any other question?
We have a hand up here with Ed. Let me get that set up. Go ahead, Ed, please.
You got pictures superimposed on top of each other on your screen.
Yes, let me get things cleaned up here. Ed, are you able to?
Yes,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was on two systems. I had to shut one down, so I didn't get a lot of feedback. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. My question is, you talk about all the different strengths of carbon, 12, 14, 24, 48, and I'm just seeing those as different strengths or structures of carbon, or what we call carbon. But what makes something a carbon, or what we call carbon? Is it just a multiple of the hydrogen strength?
It comes from the reflection of the fields of hydrogen. You change the magnetical into gravitational. We get the love of the God, love of the Creator, which comes to us. We digest it, and still some of it passes through us because we pass it on. And that interaction of what we get from it and we send back to confirm our existence becomes carbon 12 and carbon 14. The purpose of the amino acid is not just, as I said before earlier on, just the hydrogen in there. The hydrogen is a connection to the soul of the Creator. Man does not understand it. It's part of the amino acid. And then by law of physics, what you receive, you have to give, that you create a balanced communication. We receive unconditionally, but we give conditionally. The condition is that I manifest myself. You have to see me. And then that interaction, it's, as I explained this before, you have the gravity and magnetical, their interaction creates a dimension, and then you have a mass, and then the interaction of the mass with another dimension creates weight, and then after that you have a molecular structure balance of between the fields of those who create the mass with the original magnetic field. You create the inertia, and then all these interactions could manifest itself as another dimension. If you don't have inertia, if you don't have the what we call the gravity magnetical field of the planet Earth, you cannot create a mass, you cannot absorb a mass. And then the interaction between the two creates what we call the dimension of the soul, and that soul with the mass and the weight creates the dimension of the soul of the physicality of the man, which has his own mass and his own dimension. This is I explained this years ago to a scientist, I think, if I remember, when I was giving talk to VUB with the Professor Van Overmeer. The scientists from, I can't remember where, asked this question. A bullet outside your body weighs 10 grams. The bullet inside your body doesn't weigh 10 grams. It weighs most probably 1 or 2 grams. But it has a dimension of the motion, what we call the motion, the speed. Because the body of the man dictates the new weight, not the atmosphere of the planet. The body of the man inside the skin does not weigh 100 kilo. In respect to Earth, atmospheric condition is 100 kilo. That's why we have different weights in different energy. The same is the bullet outside 10 gram. Inside is not 10 gram. It's most probably 1, 2 gram, maybe lower, maybe more. If you understand this, then you understand the bigger picture of the whole structure. That's why we can jump. The body doesn't lift 100 kilo. The body lifts a mass of itself, which is always constant. Because our body is in a vacuum itself, not in respect. This is part of the science which we have missed and we are ignorant to it. And if you understand this, you understand the rest of the connections of the hydrogen to the carbon, the combination of the carbon, the combination of the fields of it. In the research in Iran, which was one of the very first things we had to be sorted, we could understand very clearly, was this position of the mass and the plasma mass, weight, magnetic field within the structure. That how we could play with that, or we could get the mass moved because of it. I explained this before. In the lab test in Iran, we went extremely well into this to understand the weight within the plasma and weight outside the plasma. We talk about it when we talk about landing on the moon, we have 1/10 of the weight, but we don't talk about it when then something enters the body and the field it has. If you go back to some of the teachings, early teachings, we had Dr. Elia Kostova doing the medical side, and she tried to go beyond the boundary of testing at that time nano needles, acupuncture on the body of her mother. And I opposed it because the energy gravity used, it might look at something, but you're pulling on the energies on the other side of the body and you can create conditions. Because the mass carries an energy plus with itself in the plasma of the body of the man. You contain it. A bullet is not nano-coated, does not carry a mass confined. When you nano-coat object and you put it in the body, you introduce a separate conditioned gravitational black box, what we call black hole. In the condition of the bullet, which is not nano-coated, you have an object which now is conditioned to it's like you send the man to the moon. Your body is the moon and the man is that bullet. Weight is different. But if you nano-coat that bullet and send it in your body, it's a totally different ballgame. You release energies, you absorb energies, which can interact even, you shoot a bullet, nano-coated in the foot of a man, it'll affect the energy and cancer cells in the brain of the man because, you say, what's got to do with it? Now you have a black hole created which absorbs all the energies from up, down, and it gives it back up. This is what a lot of scientists don't understand. This is why Bill Gates put nanomaterials into the vaccines. They understand what they're doing. You just need to cluster it. How much you cluster it, you create the blood vessel clotting and then the death. You change the DNA because now this nanomaterial is a black hole. It absorbs energy. It's not that injection of you had a vaccine. These are part of the science man has to understand. Our knowledge seekers and our scientists at the moment are playing with the Duplo, as I call it, the big blocks of the Lego game. They haven't got to those tiny ones to see how to play with it. They have not managed the, what you call, the mobility of understanding and what we call the knowledge of the handle. The motoric has not been fixed yet. Any other question?
Could I just elaborate a little bit on going back to the hydrogen and carbon? So the carbon is basically a reflection of the hydrogen, and it picks up a different structure.
No. It's the amalgamation of the fields in interaction with the plasma. It's not amalgamation.
Right. Okay. Yes.
You
I
got to
think I
understand.
understand.
You understand it. The thing is, you interact with the center, and then what comes out, it creates its own atmosphere according to its strength. It's like Earth. The gravitational magnetic field of that soul, that cell, dictates the size of the cell. And then it's got nothing to do with the hydrogen which came in. Hydrogen is constant. It's a constant flow.
Okay, so the new carbon structure then, what makes it, in the past you've talked about it being the communicator or part of this, it forms the structure of the universe, I think, but what makes this new carbon entity useful in those dimensions, in the communication and structure, where the hydrogen is not?
It's the emotion which dictates it to what it used to be.
Okay.
The environmental condition, I remember Rick talks about this sometimes. One atom of hydrogen can cover the whole of the solar system, a galaxy, and the universe. Well, what does it do? What is its purpose? And only its environment, its size, is dictated by the fields around it, that how much they allow it to grow. The gravitational magnetic field of the center of this galaxy and the central universe of this universe dictates the size of the electron, dictates the size of the proton, dictates the size of the neutron. Does not matter where it's produced. That's why the mass is constant everywhere in this universe. Because what you call mass is the inertia availability of the fields between the magnetical and gravitational. The source is hydrogen, is what you call that neutrino they're looking for to find. That neutrino, you can never get it. It's there, but its interaction with the plasma decides what is left. And then the size of that balloon of the neutron is dictated by central field forces of the universe, not by Earth atmospheric condition. And if you understand this, then it goes to the next level, understanding the connection between the carbon 12, carbon 14, and the position, the size, and the field, the strength of the environment. The higher you go in the carbon isotopes, up to carbon 60, you'll find a crystal structure which is field force made, is not man, or what we call matter state made. This is the reason why we see the shape of the UFO. I'll explain to you something very interesting. Let me see if I can get onto this. More. No. when I showed, when you just seen past part of the teaching, you see the Iranian UFO like this. It's got a head, and then it got a body, and then it got this. When we show UFOs, the Foundation UFOs are like this. This structure here tells me the Iranian development. What they've decided to do is on the mechanical basis of their plasma. They have structured an object, and they have put a system inside it that moves this object. With the system which we developed, with the field forces, we decide the shape of the object. We don't need to make the object. This has a what we call aircraft hangar position. This has universal position inside. That's why stars are so big and universes are so big and everything else, because the field forces decide the shape and the size and the position. And these field forces decides the size of the hydrogen within it. We are using hydrogen from planet Earth, so our hydrogen is predictated by. If we use a hydrogen base from another star, this will be different. This shows when you look at that picture from Iran with a member of the parliament in front of it, it shows is a mechanical system. It's the original Iranian system which I built in Iran. We saw this figure. So they built, they put something in. You saw in Beijing, where we made the system and material fell on the floor, because we did not do something else which would have given it the shape. And these are, you look at something, we look at the scientifically different way. A man needs to understand this. And then, if you can create this condition of the hydrogen structure atom of the galaxy, another universe, you'll transmute to that universe. Why does the structure of the hydrogen in a tree is different than a man? Man has not understood that gap is difference between the electron and protons of that wave strength in that position. Why stones? Every stone has within it structure. Every single cell which you buy as a mineral, stone, rock, or whatever, has a structure of the hydrogen in it. Manipulation of it, which makes it an atomic structure. This has not been understood, so we still battle with aircraft hangars and the rest, and you saw in Beijing in demonstrations. And in some tests we've done, people can put their hands in the fields, they feel it. They don't see their hand, they see their hand. Originally, this was done by Ali in Canada, if you remember, a few years ago, but he didn't understand it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, if you like, Mr. Keshe, we can.
If there are any other questions, I know there's always one.
There's one from Simone that perhaps you could elaborate on. It's in French and it translates to, she says, Rick and everyone, I would like to learn more about the children of Mithras. Could you talk about them a little or tell me where to find this information and why you refer to Mithras rather than the creator? Thank you.
Creator is a ray, Mitra is a converter. It's the love of the creator. Children of Mitra There are those which within their grain of life, war does not exist. Killing doesn't, destruction doesn't exist. And they reflect the beauty of the Creator, which is a giver. One thing which a lot of you will be shocked to understand, children of Mitra are the most selfish generation we'll ever see. The selfishness comes out of the inner emotion that they want to decide where and how to give the best. Doesn't come selfish that I want to hold on his mind. I give. The Creator gives unconditionally. Children of Mitra gives condition as long as satisfies the need of the Creator. That's the difference. It's the reflection of the man within the soul of the man. And this is what we learn in the time to come. They all carry the beauty of attention. We all love them because when we see them, we cannot fall in love with them. Because they give even in their presence, not in their physical need. You'll understand soon. Shall we call it a day?
Sure. One quick question: is the new pain pen still for personal use, or can it be used by other family members?
Yes.
It's personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it that way. There'll be a limited number of these will be produced at different colors, different things, but primarily the same. And if you buy two, it'll be best because you can put one on this side and the other one transfers. They're not all the same in construction constitute. And
different colors for different things, you mean, or the colors don't matter?
They're randomly different colors.
Okay.
It was a little bit boring than just the blue. There is a mark on it. We know it's our product, and it cannot be copied as they try. As you see, knowledge seekers copy everything. There'll be a number of new resellers around the world, which will be announced in the coming time with the knowledge seekers, that you can get your products from the new partnerships of the Keshe Foundation around the world, that these products will be available through. This reseller allows the knowledge seekers to run a very in-depth, more products-based, what we call a structure.
And I understand the new products, resin products, will be available at the store later today, I believe.
They're already there, I think. The products, there is some more getting added. It's like the, what do you call it? Fish tanks, I call them. Originally, there used to be fishes in it, but there's some for green ones, like for ducks and other things. It's just made fun to be fun, but in fact, it does the work. Remember not to put any of these products on a metal container or anywhere with the metals. Try to hang them if you can in most places. They are made, a lot of them, if you can hang them somewhere, put them up in a wooden shelf and that kind of thing. Do not put them somewhere when there is a metal interaction.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and see you next week. See you tomorrow morning. The session starts at 9 a.m. Central European Time. We don't know, we're going to take 3-4 hours because there's a combination of tests going on with you. Try to remember what happened to you, what you're going, where you're going, and anybody can still join. We haven't closed the thing till later on today. You can all participate and join in if you want to join in. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow, and the rest we'll see you next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that brings to a close today's 600 and 27th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 29th, 2026. If anyone has questions remaining, there's a few there. They can be brought over till next week and we can address them then. You see, our next public teaching workshop is okay. We'll be in February already. It'll be Tuesday, February 3rd for the next One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, with members and support members of the Universal Council. And that's program starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's program. And may you have a lovely day wherever you are and whenever you are. We'll go out with our usual manner with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. And bye for now.